It was a humid summer evening in Hollow Creek, a small town that had long been a pawn in the larger game of urban decay. As I walked down Maple Avenue, the fading sunlight painted the cracked sidewalks in hues of orange and gold. I often found myself lost in thought, observing the pulse of the town. Here, every corner whispered stories of hope, despair, and the relentless grip of the war on drugs. I could hear the distant chatter of kids playing, their laughter a fleeting reminder of innocence. But just beyond that, the muffled sounds of sirens and the occasional shout punctuated the air, a stark reminder of the darker side of Hollow Creek. "Hey, you got a minute?" It was Detective Sam Collins, a fixture in our town and a man who carried the weight of the streets on his shoulders. He leaned against the weathered lamppost, his brow furrowed with concern. "Always for you, Sam," I replied, instinctively leaning in closer. I knew he had a story that needed telling. Sam sighed, running a hand through his thinning hair. "Things are getting worse out here. Just last night, we busted a meth lab in an abandoned warehouse. But for every one we take down, 2 more pop up. It's like a damn hydra." I nodded, understanding the frustration that came with the territory. The police were caught in a seemingly endless cycle, fighting an enemy that shifted and morphed with every passing day. "What about the kids?" I asked, my heart heavy. "They're the ones who suffer the most." Sam's eyes darkened. "They're getting pulled in younger and younger. I found a 12-year-old last week, high on something I couldn't even recognize. It's a nightmare out here." As we walked, I noticed the small cracks in the pavement, the peeling paint on the storefronts, signs of a community struggling to hold itself together. Hollow Creek was once vibrant, but now it wore its scars like a badge of honor. I could see the faces of the residents etched with worry, their lives interwoven with the very issues Sam described. We passed by the old diner, a relic from better days. "You think the mayor even cares?" I asked, my voice dripping with skepticism. "He cares," Sam replied, "but it's all about the optics for him. A photo op with the police, a speech about community safety, but when the cameras are off, it's business as usual." We turned the corner onto Cedar Street, where the neon glow of the local bar flickered ominously. Here, the divide between the drug dealers and the addicts blurred. The patrons, lost in their own worlds, shuffled in and out like ghosts. "Take a look around," Sam said, gesturing to a group of men leaning against the wall, eyes vacant. "These are the forgotten. Once upon a time, they had dreams, families. Now they're just trying to get by, one hit at a time." A pang of sadness gripped me as I watched a young woman, her face drawn and hollow, stumble out of the bar. "Is there no hope for them?" I asked, feeling the weight of despair settle in my chest. "Hope's the rare commodity in Hollow Creek," Sam replied, his voice barely above a whisper. "But it's not dead. Not yet." As we continued our walk, we came across a community center bustling with activity. Inside, a group of kids were learning about art and music, their laughter filling the air. It was a stark contrast to the darkness outside, and for a moment, I felt a flicker of hope. "See, there's still light," Sam said, a hint of pride in his voice. "But it's a constant fight. Programs like this are underfunded and always at risk." "Why don't the politicians do more?" I asked, frustration creeping into my tone. "Because it's easier to turn a blind eye than to tackle the root of the problem," he said. "It's all about votes and popularity, not about real change." We wandered further down Cedar Street, where the atmosphere shifted again. The shadows grew longer, and I could feel the tension in the air. This was the territory of the drug dealers, where the line between life and death was razor thin. "Stay close," Sam warned, his hand instinctively moving to his holster. "Things can get dicey here." I could see a group of young men gathered on the corner, their eyes sharp, watching our every move. "Do you ever worry?" I asked, my voice low. "Every day," Sam admitted, his gaze never wavering from the group. "But fear is part of the job. It keeps me sharp." As we turned onto Ash Street, the scene shifted again. A flashy car pulled up, the bass from the stereo thumping like a heartbeat. The man who stepped out was well-dressed, a sharp contrast to the grime of the street. "That's Marcus," Sam said, nodding toward him. "The local kingpin. He runs this place like a business." I watched as Marcus exchanged pleasantries with his crew, a charisma that masked the danger he embodied. "Doesn't it bother you?" I asked, feeling a mix of anger and admiration. "Not really," Sam replied. "He's smart, knows how to play the game, but he's also ruthless. It's a dangerous game, and those who lose, well, they don't come back. We ducked into a nearby alley to avoid the crowd, the stench of garbage mingling with something far more sinister. This is where the real deal goes down, Sam said, his voice serious. Violence is a currency here. The walls were plastered with graffiti, each tag a testament to the struggles of the community. It's like a war zone, I whispered, feeling the weight of the situation pressing down on me. More like a prison, Sam corrected. These streets trap people. They think they have no choice, and that's how the cycle continues. Just as I was about to lose hope entirely, we came across a group of volunteers distributing food to those in need. These folks are trying to make a difference, Sam said, his tone shifting. They're the real heroes. I watched as the volunteers smiled, handing out meals and providing support. It reminded me that not all was lost in Hollow Creek. How can we help? I asked, feeling a surge of determination. Get involved, Sam said. Donate your time. Show the community that people care. It's the only way to break the cycle. As we moved on, I found myself reflecting on the stories of the people we had encountered. Each face told a tale of survival, of battles fought and lost. Do you know any of their stories? I asked Sam, my curiosity piqued. Some, he admitted. Each one is different, but they all share a common thread: struggle and resilience. Like the old man who used to run the bakery. He lost everything to addiction, but is now in recovery, trying to help others. That's inspiring, I replied, feeling a warmth spread through me. There's always a way back, isn't there? Absolutely, Sam said, nodding. It just takes time and a lot of hard work. We stopped outside the local newspaper office, where a few reporters were buzzing around, chasing stories like sharks in a frenzy. The media has a role to play too, Sam said, his voice tinged with frustration. But too often, they sensationalize the violence instead of highlighting the good. I watched as a journalist rushed past us, microphone in hand. What if they focused on solutions instead of just problems? I pondered aloud. Exactly, Sam said. People need to see that there's hope, that change is possible. But that doesn't sell papers. We made our way to City Hall, the heart of Hollow Creek's politics. It was a stark reminder of the disconnect between those in power and the struggles of everyday people. This place is a fortress, Sam said, eyeing the building with disdain. Politicians come and go, but nothing changes. Why do they keep getting elected? I asked, incredulous. Because they promise what people want to hear, Sam replied. They talk a good game but don't deliver. It's all about the next election cycle. As we walked through the town square, I could see how the drug epidemic had affected every aspect of life in Hollow Creek. The families torn apart, the businesses shuttered, the young lives lost. It's heartbreaking, I said, shaking my head. Yeah, Sam agreed. But it's a ripple effect. When one person falls, it impacts everyone around them. The community suffers as a whole. Is there any way to stop it? I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. We need more programs. More support for families, better education. It's a long road, but it starts with awareness, he said. We passed by a memorial dedicated to the lives lost to addiction and violence. This is where we remember them, Sam said softly. The forgotten heroes of Hollow Creek. I felt a lump in my throat as I read the names etched into the stone. They deserve to be remembered, I said, my heart heavy with emotion. They do, Sam replied. But we need to honor them by working to change things. That's the only way we can truly keep their memory alive. As the evening wore on, I realized that the fight against the drug crisis in Hollow Creek was about more than just the individuals involved. It was about the community coming together, finding their voice, and demanding change. We need to rally people, create a movement, I said, feeling a spark of hope. Absolutely, Sam agreed. But it starts with conversations like this. People need to feel empowered to speak out. Inspired, I began gathering stories from the people of Hollow Creek, stories of resilience, recovery, and hope. I shared them through social media and local events, amplifying their voices. This is how we start to change the narrative, I said to Sam one evening as we discussed our plans. He smiled, pride evident in his eyes. You're making a difference. People need to know they're not alone in this fight. As more and more people came forward, sharing their stories, the community began to unite. It's incredible to see everyone coming together, I told Sam during one of our meetings. It feels like we're finally making progress. It's just the beginning, he said, his eyes shining with hope. but it's a powerful start. With renewed determination, we began to tackle the bigger issues, advocating for better funding for rehabilitation programs, pushing for policy changes that would hold drug dealers accountable, and creating a safe space for families affected by addiction. It won't be easy, but we're fighting for our community, I declared at a town hall meeting, my voice steady. The crowd erupted in applause, a wave of support washing over us. We can do this together, I said, my heart racing with excitement. As we worked tirelessly, the change began to take shape. Slowly, the streets of Hollow Creek started to feel different. The laughter of children grew louder, the storefronts began to open, and the weight of despair lifted ever so slightly. We're on the right track, Sam said, a grin spreading across his face. Yes, we are, I replied, feeling the warmth of hope ignite in my chest. Years later, as I walked down Maple Avenue, the changes in Hollow Creek were undeniable. The streets were alive again, filled with laughter and the promise of a brighter future. Looking back, I realized that the fight against the war on drugs was far from over, but it had sparked something beautiful in our community. We did this together, I whispered to myself, a smile on my lips. Hollow Creek is rising, and so are we. And in that moment, I knew that the spirit of resilience would continue to guide us as we wrote the next chapter of our town's story. Ready to improve your English in a fun and engaging way? Start learning through stories today. Subscribe to Learn with Godson and dive into captivating stories that will help you expand your vocabulary, understand sentence structures, and practice pronunciation. Stories make learning English exciting and memorable. Join us on this journey and watch your language skills grow with each story. The voiceover in this video is given by Learn with Godson. Copying or re-uploading is prohibited.